यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय राधा गोपीनाथ राधा गोपीनाथ राधे जय राधा गोपीनाथ राधा गोपीनाथ राधे जय गौरनिताय 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 जय गौरनिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतशी श्रीमान His Divine Grace Abhay Charan Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki ISKCON Samsthapanacharya Savior of the whole world Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Om Vishnupada Nitya Leela Pravishta His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की निताय गो प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बो। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 4, Text number 7. Katham va Pandave yasya Katham va Pandave yasya Rajarshehe Munina Saha Rajarsher Munina Saha Samvadaha Samabhut ताथा संवादः समभूत् ताथा यत्र एषा सात्वती श्रुतिः यत्रैषा सात्वती श्रुतिः कथं वा पाण्डवेयस्या राजर्षेर्मुनिना सह संवादः समभूत् ताथा यत्रैषा सात्वती श्रुतिः कथं वा पाण्डवेयस्या राजर्षेर्मुनिना सह संवादः समभूत् ताथा यत्रैषा सात्वती श्रुतिः कथं वा पाण्डवेयस्या राजर्षेर्मुनिना सह संवादः समभूत् ताथा यत्रैषा सात्वती श्रुतिः पाण्डवेयस्या Some children can chant. Some boys. Katham, how is it? Va, also. Pandaveyasya, of the descendant of Pandu, Parikshit, Rajarshehe, of the king who was a sage, Munina, with the Muni, Saha, with Samvadaha, discussion, Samabhur, took place, Tata, O darling, Yatra, whereupon, Esha, like this, Satvati, transcendental, Shrutihi, essence of the Vedas, divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. How did it so happen that King Parikshit met this great sage, making it possible for this great transcendental essence of the Vedas, Bhagavatam, to be sung to him? Translation with repetition. How did it so happen that King Parikshit met this great sage, making it possible for this great transcendental essence of the Vedas, Bhagavatam, to be sung to him? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam is stated here as the essence of the Vedas. It is not an imaginary story as it is sometimes considered by unauthorized men. It is also called Shukha Samhita, or the Vedic hymn spoken by Sri Shukadev Goswami, the great liberated sage. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Ena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. We are reading this chapter from the Srimad Bhagavatam called The Appearance of Sri Narada. And this particular verse, spoken by Shaunaka Muni, Shaunaka Rishi, in the assembly of sages in Naimisharanya. So you're all familiar, probably, that this important meeting of the sages of Naimisharanya happened today's world. Naimisharanya is a celebrated forest mentioned in the Puranas, Mahabharata, and many other ancient literature. So, which means it was a forest well known, and there were many sages. And this particular meeting of the sages of Naimisharanya with Suta Goswami happened at the beginning of Kali Yuga. And the sages of Naimisharanya presented 6 questions. And these questions become the central theme of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. So every now and then you will keep seeing Shaunaka Uvacha and then Suta Uvacha. Shaunaka was the head among the sages, who was the spokesperson, who would ask questions on behalf of the sages. The sages all had met together and they had planned to ask some questions. And they had thought over some questions and they asked. That comes in the very first chapter. I'll read. Why did they all come up together and ask these questions? So very nicely, Prabhupada explains. I'll read this part. In the first chapter, Prayen alpayushah sabhya kalavasmin yuge janaha mandaha sumanda matayo mandabhagyahya upadritaha. In this particular verse, which is describing the characteristics of Kali Yuga, Kalau asmin yuge janaha, asmin kalau yuge janaha, in this Kali Yuga, prayena alpa ayushaha. People of Kali Yuga are short-lived, alpa ayushaha. Mandaha, manda, lazy, slow. Sumandhamatayaha, mandamatayaha, unintelligent. Mandabhagya, unfortunate. Upadritaha, always disturbed. Sometimes when I describe this to people, they say, no, how can you say people of Kali Yuga are unintelligent, lazy? We work very hard, rise early in the morning, Monday to Friday here in your country. In India, they work all 7 days. They'll be working. Up to 9 o'clock, they'll be working. How can you say we are lazy? And manda matayaha, sumanda matayaha, how can you say we are unintelligent? We have our mobile phone, we have so many technology, so all products of intelligence. How would you say that this is an unintelligent civilization? Actually, mandaha, lazy, it refers to lazy about spiritual development, which is the most important thing in Vedic culture. Spiritual development is the most important thing in human life. Just like if our children are not eating well, mothers go behind them, giving them, eat this food, eat vegetables, eat this, eat that. Because we are concerned that their body will not be nourished properly. If they don't go to school, if they are not studying well, we are very concerned. Do your homework. Why? We are concerned that their mental and intellectual development is also sound. Mostly it ends there. There is a third dimension of development of ourself, which is the spiritual development. There is a spiritual dimension, just like if you don't eat well, if children don't eat well, they'll become malnourished. If they don't study well, they'll be intellectually undeveloped and crippled. In the same way, if we don't take to spiritual processes, we will be spiritually undeveloped. But that idea, that understanding of spiritual development is not at all in the center stage of human life. In Vedic culture, that spiritual development is in the center stage of all human activity. That is why there is a difference. When the Vedic literatures say lazy, slow, mandamatayaha, mandamati, unintelligent. Unintelligent means, like say for instance, small children, they are interested in playing with toys, games. Parents allow them to play, but then after some time they say, enough of your games. Go and do some homework, go and do some studies. And children don't like that. They like to go on playing with the toys. Because children are thinking, I'm playing with the toys, so much joy I am getting, so nice it is. Why is mother coming and disturbing me? So this is called, Prabhupada explains, two modes of thinking exist. One is the preyas mode, another is the shreyas mode. Preyas mode of thinking is immediate pleasure, immediate gratification. Shreyas is to think of the long term. Mothers are in the shreyas mode of thinking. Children are in the preyas mode of thinking. Immediately we are getting happiness. But the mothers are thinking, no, the child will grow up tomorrow, has to be educated, has to face the world. In the same way, the Vedic literatures are in the Shreyas mode of thinking. Modern civilization is in the Preyas mode of thinking. We are only thinking this life, how we will be happy. We don't even have an idea that there is another life beyond this. There was life beyond this before we came into this world. So somebody who has no understanding of these things, they will be only focused on this life. We would say, just like we would say children are balisha. They are innocent, they are ignorant, they are not able to think in a long-term manner. In the same way, our society's civilization is only thinking about immediate things. So that is why the sages are describing Kali Yuga characteristics in this way. Now, the question I brought up was, why did these sages of Naimisharanya come together? They discussed among themselves. They came up with 6 questions and they said, let's ask these 6 questions. To whom? To a very competent person. And that was Sutta Goswami. Why was he competent? We'll come to that. Now, in this context, this verse was there. This verse is very interesting. The first line of the purport, Prabhupada explains why the sages came together and asked this question. Let's see. The devotees of the Lord are always anxious for spiritual improvement of the general public. This was the reason. Again, I'll read. The devotees of the Lord are always anxious for the spiritual improvement of the general public. So that is why they came together. They were anxious. Anxious means, there's a certain kind of an intensity in that activity. Very concerned about it. When you're anxious about something, you put aside all other things. Sometimes people don't eat properly, sleep properly because I'm very anxious about my job, about something in my life. You see, you put aside even your basic requirements. That's the meaning of anxiety. So, who are anxious? The devotees of the Lord, these sages. They were all great devotees of the Lord. And they were anxious for what? Spiritual improvement. They were thinking about spiritual, because there is a spirit that is moving this world. See, today I am speaking, sitting, talking. Because there's a spirit, if the spirit leaves this body, I'll die. I can't even sit, I'll collapse. And everyone will say, oh, what happened? Then they say, he's gone. Who is gone? He's here only, the body is here. The spirit is gone. There is one conversation with Srila Prabhupada somewhere in the Western country. One news reporter asks, what is spirit? Or something like that she asked, a woman. How nicely Prabhupada explains. Prabhupada says, suppose your uncle, grandfather, father, mother, somebody is there, and then he dies. Then you lament, no? He is gone, she is gone. Who is gone? It is the spirit which is gone. We are talking about that spirit. What is that spirit all about? So, it is the spirit, presence of the spirit and the absence of the spirit which makes a difference between life and death. When we have life, we do so many things. We meet people, we walk around, we sing, we dance, we think and work. Big projects we take up, earn a lot of money, become famous, become powerful. So many things we are able to do. When that spirit leaves the body, the entire range of activities becomes just null and void. So it's so important. Like that famous saying we all learnt in younger days, when wealth is lost, nothing is lost. When health is lost, or something like that. No? Health is lost, everything is lost. Character is lost, everything. Okay, good. Health is lost, something is lost. You have an unhealthy body, but that man have good character, at least something. When character is lost, everything. So there are different kinds of requirements, and when spiritual awareness is lost, everything is completely lost. Even if you have a great character, a good man, but has no spiritual understanding. See? So, why is it? Because somebody may have a good character, maybe very honest man, very kind, compassionate man, helping all people in the world. But finally, he also dies, and the people he is trying to help also dies. And mostly, when we talk about helping in this world, like there is that story, there were two friends who were taking a walk on the bank of a river one evening, and then it was quite warm, hot, and so one of them said, you just be here, I will go have a little, swim and come. I'll just take a dip in the water. And so one boy went to the river and the other boy was standing out on the bank. And this boy who went to the water, and suddenly there was a current and he was stuck and he was screaming for help. And this other friend didn't know what to do, and he called out for help. And there was a man who came, no, no, don't worry, I help people like this. I'm known as a very kind, compassionate. And so what happened? So my friend is drowning. So he said, no worry, I'll jump into the water. He swam. He got hold of the man who was drowning. But then he was struggling. Both of them were struggling. And then he pulled out his shirt or garment, something, and then brought the garment back. And the man drowned. So this friend said, what did you do? You let my friend drown and die. No, no, see, I have saved him and handed over the garment of the friend. See, that's the example Srila Prabhupada gave. A very nice statement is there. I'll read this from the Gita. Prabhupada's beautiful statement. To save the garment of a drowning man is not real compassion. Now, in what context does Prabhupada say that? In this in the second chapter, first verse, Sanjaya Uvacha, Tam tatha kripaya vishtam ashrupurna kulekshanam vishidantam idam vakyam uvacha madhusudanaha. Seeing Arjuna full of compassion, very sorrowful, his eyes brimming with tears, Madhusudana, Krishna, spoke the following words. Right? And because this is talking about Krupaya Vishtam, Arjuna was Krupaya Avishtam, his heart was filled with compassion. Ashrupurna kulekshanam, eyes were brimming with tears. Vishidantam, lamenting, Vishada, so very, very lamenting. So what's going to happen to this, all the people here? So, this was the situation of Arjuna after he spoke the first chapter. And Prabhupada's purport, again, first sentence in the purport. Always when you read Prabhupada's books, you read the first sentence in the purport, and the last sentence, there will be something very, very interesting. There will be a punchline. So Prabhupada begins this purport by saying, material compassion, kripa, kripaya vishtam, lamentation, vishadha, and tears, ashrupurna kulekshanam, are all signs of ignorance of the real self. You see? Someone we would say Arjuna is a very good man of good character. See, so much compassion he's having, so much lamentation, so much tears. You know, men don't cry so much, women cry quite easily. At least that's my experience. Men are hard-hearted. But Arjuna, strong warrior, he is having Ashrupurna kulekshanam. It has really moved him. Actually, the situation was very, you know, when we do, this is what is important about reading Vedic literatures. When we read Vedic literatures, we read intellectually. Actually, we should read intellectually, of course, you shouldn't abandon intelligent reading. But also we should read with feeling. Suppose I'll give you the difference between the two. I'll give you one example. There was a young boy and he was having a relation with a young girlfriend. And then once, that young girlfriend, for some time they were separated or something happened, and then she wrote a letter. I mean, old letter writing days, I'm saying. And then this boy got that letter, and she had written very emotionally, very feelingly how she was feeling. And he read that letter. And he read it once, he read it second time, he read it. And that night he could not sleep at all. Again in the night he will try to sleep, wake up, because his dear girlfriend has written a letter, so sweet words she has written. He can't sleep. Say, 2 generations later, somebody comes across that letter and they are reading, oh, some girl has written to some boy. This person, 2 generations later, somebody reads, will he have a sleepless night? No, after reading it, he'll put it aside and go and sleep nicely. Because he's reading, intellectually he is reading, but he's not having any feelings. When that girlfriend wrote, she was pouring her heart, and he was so captivated by those words. It was so sweet words. He couldn't sleep also. So in the same way, when we read, sometimes we don't read with feelings. What was Arjuna feeling? You see, Arjuna was having a task in front of him. He was to start the battle in the war. Already conch shells were blown. And then he looks at who have assembled there. And then he spots his Bhishma, his grandfather, who taught them, who supported them, protected them. And then he looks around, sees Dronacharya, who taught him the very archery. And then he sees all his cousins. And now he has to fight them and kill them. Imagine you are in a situation, you are told, go meet your grandfather and kill him and come. Of course, very unusual, I'm saying just as an example. You will be very perturbed, isn't it? Suppose you are told, go to your grandfather, you tell, I won't come to your house, I won't, speak something and come away. It's okay. Speak little harshly, convey this thing, something's harsh. You may do it. Okay, a little bit. Even that you will hesitate, grandfather, elderly man. But you are asked to do circumstances, you may do it. Even to speak harshly, we would be very careful. But now look at the situation Arjuna is having. He has to kill them, shoot arrows and kill them. It was a very, very intense, emotional, difficult situation for Arjuna. That is why Gita is very important. Arjuna in this kind of a very difficult situation, and then Krishna speaks to him, maybe for about 1 hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour, 1.5 hours maybe. And after hearing Krishna for those 1 hour, 1.5 hours, Arjuna is ready to go and kill his grandfather and teacher. What is it that Krishna taught that brought about such a big change in Arjuna? He was Krupaya Vishtam Ashrupurna Kulekshanam Vishidantam. After this kind of deep, strong emotions, Krishna Arjuna says, Nashta moha smrutir labdva karishye vachanam tatatava. Now I'm ready to fight Arjuna. Krishna, he says. What is it that Krishna spoke that brought about this change? It's a very important thing. That is why Gita is so important. So the sages were interested. No, they were not interested. They were anxious. So this is the first sentence. The devotees of the Lord are always anxious for the spiritual improvement of the general public. And look at this, the last sentence of the purport. The sages of Naimisharanya are anxious to disentangle all fallen souls. And here they are seeking the remedy from Srila Sutta Goswami. So the 6 questions the sages of Naimisharanya asked were very, very thoughtfully developed questions. And those 6 questions revolves around in the entire Bhagavatam. And so in today's verse, Katham va pandave yasya rajarsher munina saha samvadaha samabhut. Katham samvadaha samabhut. How did this conversation come about? Between whom? Rajarshi Pandave Yasya. Rajarshi Rajarshi, saintly king, who was the son of the Pandavas, grandson of the Pandava, referring to Parikshit. And Munina Saha, Rajarshi and Munina Saha. How did this conversation? Samvadaha Samabhut. How did this conversation come about? Tata. Tata is a dear one, respectful, cordial one. Yatra, this Samvadaha Samabhut, this conversation came about, but in that conversation, Yatra, Yesha, Satvati Shrutihi. How did that, in that conversation, a transcendental subject matter came about? Usually when we do samvadaha, we will meet this person, what happened, that person. We'll go on talking. Nothing, Satvata Shruti doesn't come out. Some Gramya Katha will come out when we talk. But here, this was not that kind of a conversation. Satvati Shrutihi, Esha, Tatra Esha, Satvati Shrutihi. So, for this great transcendental essence of the Vedas, making it possible for this great transcendental essence of the Vedas to be sung to him. How did this happen? Is the question. And so, this chapter is called Appearance of Narada. Why is it? Now, sages, Sutta Goswami will explain what happened to Vyasadeva after he compiled all the Vedas, and then he was not satisfied, he was unhappy. And then when he was praying to Krishna, praying to Narayana, at that time his guru Narada appears and gives him further transcendental instruction. That's why this chapter is called Appearance of Sri Narada. Now, let us discuss a little bit about Satvati Shrutihi. This is the important position of Srimad Bhagavatam. Shruti, Vedic knowledge, by and large, Acharyas who have analyzed this, they say there is Satvati Shruti, there is Rajasi Shruti, there is Tamasi Shruti. Meaning, knowledge meant for tamasic people, knowledge meant for Rajasic people, knowledge meant for Sattvic people, and knowledge meant for people who are in pure Sattva or transcendence. Just like if you go to a medical store, there is a back pain medicine, leg medicine, heart medicine, skin medicine, so many medicines are there. In the same way, Shruti, Vedic knowledge, or you go to a library, there is a kids section. Children's books will be there. There is a youth section. There is students, graduate students, and there is postgraduate students. Advanced books are there. So in the same way, Vedic knowledge is also, according to human society, people are in different levels of ignorance. There are different kinds of Vedic literature. So this is Bhagavatam is considered Satvati Shruti. Those who are in the Sattva Guna or in the Transcendental Guna. There are two more verses from the previous chapter. I thought I will read that also. This is also concerning Bhagavatam and the position of Bhagavatam. Satvati Shruti. Idam Bhagavatam Nama. This transcendental literature known as Bhagavata. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam. This is not Brahma Samhita. That's the other book that we chant, Govindam Adi Purusham. This is Brahma Samhitam. Samhitam means, Prabhupada translates as incarnation of Lord Sri Krishna. Brahma Samhita means no difference between this Bhagavata and Brahma, Param Brahma. Who is Param Brahma? Shri Krishna. Param Brahma Parandhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibhu. This is what Gita, Arjuna is telling Krishna. Now I have understood. Well, Arjuna says this in the 10th chapter of the Gita. In the 9th chapter, Krishna said, I'm going to tell you the most confidential knowledge. After hearing the most confidential knowledge, now Arjuna, this is almost at the midpoint of the 18th chapters. Now Arjuna, Krishna is saying, now I have understood your position, Krishna. Your Param Brahma, your Parandhama, Param Pavitra, Purusham Shashvatam Divyam, Adideva, Ajam Vibhu, Ahustvam Rishayas Sarve. All sages have described this about you. Not only I am saying, Ahustvam Rishayas Sarve, Rishayas Sarva Rishayaha Ahuhu. All of them have spoken this of you. Asita, Devala, Vyasa, Swayam Chaiva Bravishime. Now you are describing that to me, yourself. So, Krishna is the Param Brahma and this Bhagavatam is Brahma Samhitam, non-different from Krishna. That's why Samhitam means, it means completely equivalent, not partially equivalent. Samhitam. That's why Prabhupada translates incarnation of Lord Sri Krishna. Krishna has many incarnations. He has a Vigraha incarnation for visual experience. He has a sound incarnation for an auditory experience. He has a knowledge incarnation, literature incarnation for our reading. That is why Krishna also says, one who reads Bhagavad Gita, he is worshipping me with his intelligence. Just like we worship Krishna Guru with flowers, we worship with arati. These are all different. We worship with bhog, naivedya. In the same way, we can worship Krishna with intelligence by understanding his words. So, this is Bhagavatam is another incarnation of Krishna. Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam. It describes the activities of Uttama Shloka. Uttama Shloka Charitam. Nishreyasaya Lokasya. Nishreyasaya lokasya. Lokasya, of the people, Nishreyasaya. Nishreyasaya means ultimate good. There is nothing higher than that. This is the highest. Nishreyasaya lokasya dhanyam swastyayanam mahat. It is dhanyam, swasti ayanam, and mahat. All perfect, fully successful, swasti ayanam, all blissful. After saying this, there's a next verse following this. Tadidam grahayamasa sutam atmavatam varam. This Brahma, Srimad Bhagavatam, Tadidam grahayamasa, he made him accept. Who? Sutam. Who made him accept? Vyasadeva made his son Shukadeva Goswami accept this, learn this, understand this. Tadidam grahayam asa sutam atmavatam varam. What kind of a son was he? Suta. He was a atmavatam varam. Atmavatam means self-realized. Not sharira-vatam, means he's only realized his body. Like common people like us are. That's why we are always anxious to meet the requirements of the body. Comforts, food, shelter, clothing, fame, control, power. All this if we want to give to this body. That's what we are anxious about. So, Atmavatam Varam means foremost among the self-realized. Why this was given to him? Why this is so special? Sarva Veda Itihasanam Saram Saram Samudrutam. Sarva Veda Itihasanam Saram Saram Samudrutam. Taking out the essence of all the Sarva Veda Itihasanam. Samudrutam. Samudrutam, to carefully take out. Very deliberately, very consciously take out the Sara. And he made him accept. That is why Srimad Bhagavatam, its position is very, very special among all the Vedic literatures. And so, such a Bhagavatam, Satvati Shrutim, came about in this conversation between Rajarshi and Rajarshi Parikshit and Munina, referring to Shukadeva Goswami. So Shukadeva Goswami had learnt this from his guru, Vyasadeva, and now he is going to teach that to Parikshit. And in that conversation, Satvati Shrutim came about. So these are some of the interesting points in this verse. And so this Bhagavatam, for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this Bhagavatam became the most important literature. And that's why very nicely Srila Prabhupada says, Bhagavad Gita is the science of God. Srimad Bhagavatam teaches love of God. And Chaitanya Charitamrita teaches how to intensify that love of God. See, such an important and Srila Prabhupada has given us all three. We must have a scientific understanding of God. We should not have some sentimental understanding. God, simple, some God, like commonly Hindus have. They say Hanuman is Hindu monkey god. Actually, Hanuman is not monkey god. He'll be unhappy to hear that he is God. He is servant of God. He's a great servant of God. God is Ram. So we have all wrong, approximate understanding as Hindus in our country. We don't have an accurate, rigorously developed, careful understanding. Simply we say monkey god. Elephant god, monkey god. We have so many gods. It is not like that. So Hanuman is a great devotee. He was a Vanara, but he was a great devotee of Ram. He was always at the lotus feet of Ram, ever ready to serve the orders of the Lord. So, like this, we have all wrong, approximate, vague understanding. And we are completely okay with it. Because the God is not so important for us in life. So, this has Satvati Shrutihi. This kind of a transcendental subject matter has come about in this conversation between the king and Shukadev Goswami. And so, how did this come about? How did this happen? The sages are asking. Sages of Naimisharanya are asking. We'll stop here. Anyone has any question? I'll try to answer. Yes, Mataji.
Thank you so much for your association.
Thank you.
Prabhu, so much tapasya went into Srimad Bhagavatam, on the Parikshit Maharaj, Shukadev Goswami. They all and the Shramika Rishis, they asked these questions for the ultimate welfare of the human society. How did this whole thing came over? Why there is so much confusion in Kaliuga, who is God? I mean, so much went into it, and the purpose of Bhagavatam was to give the ultimate meaning, ultimate love of God. Then why so much vending in Hinduism, so much confusion, even though such great literature is there?
Yeah, for those who did not hear the question, Mataji's question is, Srimad Bhagavatam so carefully, so much with tapasya, the sages have all prepared this. But why is it in our country there is so much confusion, no clarity is there, like that? You see, Krishna says in the Gita, Iyatha mam prapadhyante tam stathaiva bhajamyaham. As you surrender unto me, I reveal. Krishna is not going to force himself on us, because this is a very sensitive topic. It is about loving Krishna. You see, Krishna says in the Gita, this is the most confidential knowledge. And how does he conclude that 9th chapter? Manmana bhavamat bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. 4 things you must do, Krishna is saying. Always think of me. Manmana bhavamat bhakto, become my devotee. Madhyaji, worship me. Mam namaskuru, offer your respects to me. I was telling about careful reading of the Vedic literature, sensitively reading, not just intellectually, carefully. You know how Prabhupada and Prabhupada explains this? How Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas read this? Manmana means always think of me. Actually, it has a sense, fill your mind with me. When can we fill our mind with somebody? When we love that person. When we love somebody, we can fill our mind with that person. Actually, Krishna is saying, love me. Manmana is, in other words, love me. Madbhaktaha, become my devotee, devoted to me. Madhyaji, worship me. Mam namaskuru. In the 11th chapter, Krishna says, Mat karma krin, mat paramo, mat bhaktaha, sangavarjitaha. Mat parama means, regard me as the supreme in your life. regard me as everything in your life. Not everybody is ready for all these things. Not everyone is ready to love God. Prabhupada says one statement, when you begin to hear Krishna, Krishna becomes very pleased because mostly people are not interested in Krishna. We are interested in ourselves, our glory, our benefit, our enjoyment, our comfort. But actually, we should be day and night thinking about Krishna's enjoyment, Krishna's comfort, Krishna's pleasure. That's why Prabhupada says in one place, the purpose of the Hare Krishna movement is to convince the world that we are not the enjoyers. Today the world is revolving around this idea. We should all be enjoyers. We should maximize our enjoyment. We should maximize enjoyment for everybody. When they talk about fairness, everyone should enjoy. Like recently I heard one political leader of our world made a statement. Anyway, I shouldn't say all this because it is... people think this world belongs to us. This world doesn't belong to us. This belongs to the Lord. Isha vasidam sarvam yatkincha jagadyam jagat. Tena tyaktena bhunjitha magrudha kasya suds. Don't encroach. We can only take what is allotted to us. It is not our property. It is God's property. I don't know if I told this, you have heard this one. Once there was one lake restoration project in Bangalore, and after it was a big lake, but it had become only small because of all encroachment and this and that. It happens in our country. And finally all the activists and environmentalists, they got together, they cleaned up the lake, and then they put one board, and then they got the chief minister to come and inaugurate. That board had something very interesting. It said, this lake is not our property. Oh, I thought, I was reminded of reading Prabhu. This one, such a great statement they have put here. The lake is not our property. It is the property of the future generations. We are custodians of it, and we must hand it over to the future generation. See, like this. They are not saying this property, lake is not our property, it is Krishna's property. They are not ready to say that. They want to preserve it. We have to be careful because now my next generation, they have to enjoy. You see these kind of nice ideas, they are called nice ideas, good, great ideas, no? These kind of ideas come about. But we say it is not our property. We also say lake is not our property. Lake is not our future generations' property either. Lake is the property of Krishna. Everything, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. So the thing is that not many people are eager to know about Krishna. Their desire, their appetite, their hunger is not to know Krishna. Their eagerness is so many other things. So when they don't want Krishna, Krishna will not force himself on such people. He's hesitant. Ye yatha mam prapadyante thamstataiva bhajamyaham. So, Ishvara sadhya hrudya varudhyate shushrushu visthatkshana. Bhagavatam promises, by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord will be fixed in your heart, provided you read as a shushrushu. Shushrushu means as a person who is very eager to know Krishna. If you read Bhagavatam with that eagerness, then Krishna will be fixed in your heart very soon. Ishvara sadhya hrudya varudhyate Shushrushu Tatkshana. Very quickly, Krishna will be established in the heart of an eager, anxious reader of the Srimad Bhagavatam. If the Shushrushu is not there, eagerness is not there, Krishna will not force himself, no, I want to come and sit in your head. He will not. You want so many other things in your heart, keep them all. When you want me, I'll come to you. That is my different degree. But you may say, no, we were all Hindus, we were going to temple. So yes, there was some eagerness is there, some desire is there. So eagerness, there are gradations of eagerness. I want Krishna, but I also want some property, I want some enjoyment, I want to enjoy this world with God's blessing. So it is called Mishra. It is not 1 point, ekantataha bhakti is not there. It is Mishra. So that is why, by and large, the world is full of mixed people. They want God, they also want, mostly they want other things, they want God to help them get the other thing. So that is why there are different kinds of Vedic literature which help everybody to move forward little by little by little. And when they are more and more eager, then the highest knowledge is also available. That is why there are varieties of Vedic literatures. Tarko apratishtaha shrutayo vibhinnaha. There are very, very different types of Shrutis, Vedic literatures. That is the reason. Any other question? Yes, Kalyan.
We actually deal about Mahajanas. We only total ourselves to 12 as a Srimad.
Okay.
But we see many other great personalities
Okay.
who are equally Mahatmas.
Okay. Okay. What is the reason? Okay. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Ajamila Upakhyana, there Yamaraj makes a statement. He makes a statement that this Vedic, the Dharma is not easy to understand, and Dharma is a transcendental subject matter, is not easy to understand. 12 of us, and he lists the 12, including me, we have understood this Dharma. So that is why in that context, the 12 Mahajanas are listed, and that is why we consider that based on Bhagavata's listing of the 12 Mahajanas, we consider them as the certified, Bhagavatam certified Mahajanas. There may be others also who are also important. Great Mahajanas will be there. Like we would say, our 6 Goswamis are also great Mahajanas. All our exalted souls. So like that, there are all, Vedic culture has many, many Mahajanas, but those 12 are. Just like we say Dashavatara in our country. Are there only 10 avatars? Bhagavatam lists 24 or 27 or some avatars. And then at the end of listing 24, 27 avatars, Bhagavatam says, if you stand on the bank of an ocean and count the number of waves, that many avatars are there. Because everything about Krishna is unlimited. You see, we say, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinde Ki Jai. That means in the spiritual world, there will be Ananta Koti Vaishnava. Koti itself is so big. This is Ananta Koti Vaishnava. So how many devotees will be there in the spiritual world? And that's why we must know how to live in the association of devotees. Not fighting with each other, finding fault, doing this one, that one, politics. That is not Vaishnava Sangha. Vaishnava Sangha should be free from politics. Prabhupada said, let there be no politics in this organization. Politics comes because of self-interest. There shall be no self-interest. Only Krishna interest. Actually, a great aspiration for Srila Prabhupada. We should all aspire to fulfill that. We should all strive to fulfill that. We should keep away politics. We should keep away Gramya Katha. We should only be doing Krishna Katha. Like in this conversation, Satvati Shrutin came about. No Gramya Katha came. So like that, we should be always watchful. Whether we are, like there's, it is said, no, Tridhandi Sannyas, mind, words and body are dedicated to Krishna. Right? In modern day, somebody was telling me, every swipe should be for Krishna, because constantly we are swiping in our mobile phone. See, Mataji is also doing something, right? Typing or swiping. Every touch for Krishna should be there, because our lives are full of touches of our small screen. Whether this touch I am doing, is it for pleasing Krishna? Is it for pleasing Prabhupada? We should be thinking. It's a great consciousness to keep Krishna always in the center. It's a dirty consciousness to keep ourselves in the center. The height of selfishness. So that's the kind of a consciousness we should aspire. We should be watchful of our mind, of our words. And for that, we need the help of devotees. If we don't take association of devotees, we will not get the correct feedback. Devotees are like a mirror. They will show a mirror to your face. See how dirty you are. If we don't have association of devotees, then we will not be able to mature in our devotions. This is a statement of Srila Prabhupada in the purport. Without association of devotees, devotional service will not mature. So, when we get together in temples, when we are doing some service together, we should all be very conscious that our conversation does not degrade into Gramya Katha. Our conversations always remain to be Satvati Shrutihi. This is the standard of conversation. Samvada. Samvada means conversation. Conversation standard should be, it should result in Satvati Shruti. Like this, we should be watchful. We will stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Shri Shri Radha Gopinath ki, Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Go Premanande Hari Hari. What's your name? I forgot. Abhaya. What was your former name? Amar. Amar. Prabhu.